Greetings, this is Danny Merrill of Tucson, Arizona. I always give out my information for Skype in case people who would like to contact me and talk to me face to face can do so. To add me to your Skype list, you'd have to type in William D. Marrow Jr., Tucson, Arizona. My email address is Danny, D-A-N-N-Y, period, Marrow, M-A-R-R-O-W, @gmail.com. And my Skype ID is Danny, D-A-N-N-Y, period, Marrow, M-A-R-R-O-W. The talk tonight is Aruba, a vacation that could kill you. We now have had 2 young women disappear in Aruba, and nobody seems to know how they disappeared, how they died, where their bodies located. Nothing. The Aruba Police Department certainly cannot be recognized as the best police department in the world. I don't know if they can even discover where their police headquarters is located. How can 2 young women go to Aruba to have a time of celebration? The first one, Natalie Holloway, who went there with her graduation class, and she disappears. And the presumed and person who murdered her is now in Peru, being convicted of a second murder of a Peruvian girl. And still, he will not tell the family where he put the body of Natalie so they can have peace of mind. The second girl, a woman, went there with a man and supposedly a friend, and she disappears. My question is this: how can 2 women disappear? And there is no trace, no evidence, no witnesses, nothing about where their bodies are or where their bodies were placed. If I were a young woman, which I'm not, but if I were, I would boycott going to Aruba for vacation, because it could be a killer vacation. I think that all women ought to join together and boycott going to Aruba for a vacation and encourage other women not to go to Aruba for a vacation. It doesn't make sense to me that 2 women can go on a trip to Aruba and never be found again. Now, the recent person that disappeared, as they did in the first case, they're trying to say that somebody from Venezuela, which is a 30-minute boat ride from Aruba, came in and kidnapped these girls and took them to Venezuela. Well, how do you prove that that did happen or did not happen? The proof that happened is 2 women were allegedly on the beach of Aruba and disappeared. That's what the story is, and no trace. And in the second case, the man has been released from prison in Aruba, has returned to the United States as far as we know, and that he is not convicted, or was not convicted, of the crime of his companion. To say that he is the most honest man would be a stretch of the imagination. He tried to cash $1 million life insurance policy 2 days after she disappeared, seemingly without any concern about where she is. But he sure knew about the $1 million insurance policy. He knew where to find that document, and he knew where to go to try to cash that document. And of course, in the court of law, you're innocent, at least in the United States, until proven guilty. And in Aruba, I guess you're innocent if you disappear in Aruba regardless, because they haven't convicted two people accused of murder. To this day, they haven't convicted them. They haven't presented evidence to prove that these two women were murdered. And, you know, it seems to me that the people of the world, not just of the United States, but the women of the world should get together and launch a protest. Do not go to Aruba on vacation until we find out what happened to the two young women that disappeared there and presumably were murdered. Something doesn't make sense. And I would also suggest that the government of Aruba or the government of Holland needs to replace all of their detectives, that's what you want to call them in Aruba, with people that have brains about searching for and collecting evidence to prove that these two individuals that were accused of the disappearance of the two women are convicted of murder. I rest my case. I wouldn't go to Aruba if I were a woman for $1 million a minute. How much is your life worth? I mean, you may say, well, those two women were unfortunate and that couldn't happen to me. Well, that's your first mistake. It can happen to you. They didn't think it could happen to them, but they're dead.